I'm in the mood to fire.
You're in a prickly mood, sir.
I'm in a prickly mood because there's certain people that in my life I want to fire that work for me. I want to fire them.
You want to fire them?
Yeah. Hey, you. Listen. Hey, how was your New Year? First of all, yeah, was it good? Where'd you go on vacation? Cool.
Got plans. Wait. Let's. I want
to lead them.
Let's do it like The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Like you're Trump.
Okay.
Not the new one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like the old one with Trump. So
I'm going to fire you.
I'm your employee. You're going to fire me. Okay. So you want me to step in your office?
Yeah.
So here I am, and I'm just a random dude.
Yeah.
I'm not Brendan.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just some random dude.
Yeah. But I'm your employee. You're one of my employees. Yeah. That's responsible. Let's just say theoretically for managing certain financial aspects of my life.
I'm on your team.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
All right.
Hey Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you? What's up with that? You look good. What were you doing?
I just got back from Hawaii. Took the missus and
Hawaii.
Yes.
What did you do in Hawaii? Hung out. You took a well-deserved vacation.
I work hard.
I know you do, and I have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm noticing that there's 5 months here where I was running a deficit, and I'm wondering why you didn't pick up on that. Do you have any idea? That's a pause, which is a terrible pause.
Let me look into that.
Oh, no, because I'm here now. So I've been hearing, let me look into that, but that never happens. So
you know what? We'll take care of it.
You will.
In the meantime, can I have my associate here suck your dick?
You can, and I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna take you up on that.
Can you imagine if they did that?
Yeah.
You know what? We apologize. Can we get Renee? Renee, yeah. Do you mind if Renee sets you off?
Yeah, but now as I'm dumping, and I call it dumping. Watch what I say. Ready? You're fired.
What? What?
You're fired.
We call her Superhead around the office.
Oh, she's great. But you're fired.
You're fired. Renee, you're on the team.
Yeah.
By team, I mean I'll see you every Monday night.
Exactly. That's what I do. You fucking fired. I've always enjoyed, there are certain people that I fired in my life that were taking money from me. After 2 years, I go, hold on. I've been paying your fucking light bills and I'm getting nothing in return. You're fired. You know how you fire people? This is what I do. I go, can you do me a favor? Can you justify your job for me? Because here's what I'm having problems with.
Yeesh.
Yeah, and they never can.
But I feel like it has to hit rock bottom in order for you to get fired.
For
by
me?
Bryan Callen.
Yes, you know me. I got a long fucking fuse. However,
you got the longest fuse of all time.
I'm also a veteran, and I've been around for a while, and I've also paid a lot of money to people that didn't deserve it over the years. So now, because I'm such a capitalist and a businessman in that sense, if you're worth it, that's why have you ever heard me actually begrudge whether or not, like say it's a Thursday night and I sell 100 tickets as opposed to 300. You will never hear me say that's not fair. You'll never hear me say I'm mad. Well, Crystalia sells a lot. No. That's my fault.
That's on you.
My success is my fault. My failure is my fault. It's all my fault. I don't give a shit what anybody says, and I never do that. But if I'm in spending money and you're not doing anything for me, but I just keep giving you money because you might be a manager, you might be an agent. I fired managers that way. I've just been like, I don't need you.
I fired, especially in sports, when it comes to agents, managers, I've probably fired 6 of them.
Yeah, I have too.
Because especially in sports, your window's so small. Mm-hmm. I would call, you know me at CAA. You're talking bigwig at CAA. Oh, yeah. I harass every day.
Oh yeah,
I call them and harass them.
Yes.
What are we doing today? What's your plan?
And that's the best. That's the best house in the business.
Yeah, and they're like, cool. They get it. They're cool.
Yeah. Well, Adam's great. Adam Hirsch and
all of them are great. Adam, Justin, Todd.
That ship is great.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yes.
They're by far the best. But
and they're on it.
Even they're so on it. I even call and check in. So now imagine in sports, I realize that it's a finite window, and you got to make the most of it. So I'm calling them up. I'm like, what are we doing? What happened to this? What happened to this? I'm like, I got you're fired. Next one. What are we doing?
Well, because you can't afford to not be that way.
No way, man.
You just can't fucking afford it, man. It's
always weird to me too, like and it's not their fault and it's probably their background, but a lot of these athletes, they get huge lump sums of money up front, right?
Yeah.
And then they find out like 4 years down the road, oh, my manager was embezzling money. He was taking $3 million a year. It's like, How do you not notice?
Well, Sting has 5 million.
They just trust everyone.
Yeah. Sting was on Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said, how much did your manager take from you? And Sting was like, I don't know. And he goes, was it like $5 million? He goes, probably something like that, maybe more. He didn't even notice.
They have no idea. You never, as an artist or an athlete, you should at least once a month, at least look under the rock and see what's going on.
If you don't do that,
people notice and they take advantage of it.
100%, even good people take advantage of you because it's the temptation is so huge, and it's you see this all the time, which is why I know many a successful artist who are dead broke. They don't have any money.
What happened with Dane Cook, his brother, right?
Yeah, his brother. Wasn't his
$10.5 His brother was his manager, and he was doing everything.
His half brother, I think, or step brother.
Was his step brother? His half brother, right? Yeah. And he decided to hire him as his manager. Yeah. And were you and I? No, it was me and Stevie Blue Eyes. We were talking about it the other night. Like Dane Cook, for me, I came up on Dane Cook. His tour, I forget whatever this was, or
Sufi, Superfinger, right?
I forget his whole thing, and sold out, Madison Square Garden, stadiums. Amazing. He was as big as they
and funny as shit.
So funny. He's in his movie career, and he's still doing well now. You know how it is. Yeah. So, but then he was killing it, and then you see his half brother just fucking took him for a ride.
And he told me the whole story.
His brother went to prison, right?
Yeah, he told me the whole story about it. And
what did he say?
He was asking his brother because he had another guy looking into it, and the other guy said, "I can't get any information from your brother-in-law. I mean, your brother. He's not giving me any information." Pretty soon, Dane put 2 and 2 together and realized this guy. He goes, "Where's the money?" And his brother basically, I think, didn't answer him, whatever. I think they found a lot of the money buried in a wall. And at the trial, Dane had a chance to actually say something to his brother-in-law. It was like, listen, or his half-brother. Something essentially like, I trusted you and you fucked me, and you took $10.5 million. And the guy wouldn't look at him, just looked down. I think he was a sociopath. He was dealing with a real sociopath.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Super piece of shit.
And he went away to jail, though. He went to jail.
So is he just hoarding the money, or is he like buying like bottles of...
I don't know.
Is he popping bottles?
I don't know what he was doing, but
Make
probably.
it rain in the club?
Probably. God. Guys like that are,
Yeah, they're usually not smart with it. It's not like he was... Because if he invested it right, he could be like, hey, Dane, I actually invested in this small company called Twitter 10 years ago.
Well, now
we've made 7 times the amount.
Yeah, they always try to do stuff like that. Like what I notice is that they always... Guys like that will always essentially, try to... They'll decide, I'm going to invest this money. And then they start investing it. And they start losing money because they're not investors.
But then they also see that, I invested this money, I lost it. He didn't even notice.
Yeah.
So instead of investing, I'm going to invest it in myself.
Yeah.
By myself, I'm going to buy me a Ferrari.
And I'll give him the money.
Yeah, I'll figure he's going to make more. He won't even notice. That's usually what happens. Well, it's like, speaking of terrible investments, I told you this football player I knew, and this is... 10 years ago, invested in flying cars. Like half of his signing bonus. Told the locker room, everyone's all...
You invested in flying
Have
cars.
You seen a prototype? He's like, sure haven't.
Oh,
well, sir, you lost every dime of that. Like the Jetsons.
Some people are so stupid. You have to be responsive to the evidence.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine...
I invested in a flying car?
Can you imagine them convincing you to invest in the flying cars?
Oh, my God. That's like coming to me and saying, you want to invest in almonds? People are going to be eating a lot more almonds in 2017.
At least almonds are real.
It's
nothing like investing in almonds.
You're right. Almonds way better.
Are what? Yeah, the way better.
You'd be a genius.
One of the reasons we have drought in California is almonds.
Because it's such a water intensive.
Fuck yes, and I love me an almond.
Yeah. You know what? Screw the grandkids. I need my almonds. I want my almond
butter.
Fuck
your water.
Fuck your water. You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
Listen, I will. I think that this is going to. Oh, we just ended. We just got to the end of our relationship. See ya. I need all my passwords. See ya.
Well, something about Mary, where he's like, well, what happens if? Because he does 7-minute abs, and he goes, oh, Harlan Williams, your boy Harlan Williams, and then Ben Stiller goes, what happens if they come out with 6-minute abs? And he's all, no, you can't do anything in 6 minutes. What the fuck are you talking about? And he goes, step in my office. He goes, what? You're fucking fired.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? They're driving. He's a serial killer. Step in my office. Why? You're fucking fired. You can't do anything in 6 minutes. What are you, crazy? So funny.
I bet you Harlan basically improvised that.
I don't know how I'd fire somebody. I get very very upset if they don't have follow through.
You just go justify your job for me right now because I don't know how to justify.
Dude, I had to fire an artist one time we were working with, and this guy, he fucked us over so bad.
Yeah.
And contractually, I just couldn't at the time, so I was just waiting. And as soon as it was open, he wouldn't answer the call. It felt so good to fire him. Mm-hmm. It felt so good.
You know Pareto's principle?
My brother was so happy.
Yeah, you know Pareto's principle? The idea that Pareto was a scientist, but he was gardening his peas, and he found that certain pea shoots made 20% of the pea shoots made 80% of the peas. And basically there's two thoughts. 20% of the people in your company probably are producing 80% of the results, and the rest are not. Or 20%, conversely, 20% of your clientele are giving you the most problems. 20% of your employees are the ones that are causing 80% of your problems. This is a rough number, but typically when you can isolate what 20% to do away with and what 20% to focus on, you can get a lot done. And that would be the idea.
40%.
Yeah, and sometimes you got people that are just, that they're
cruising by.
They're cruising by, or they're sucking your fucking energy,
sucking your dick.
I noticed that one of my friends back a while back was a very divisive figure, and was causing most of the problems in my community. And I was like, and finally I looked at the common denominator, and I was like,
it's
you know what? I can't have you in my life
Can't be a friend.
Anymore. I can't.
Then I have to sit.
And even though there are parts of the person I like, but a lot of what I like, but I realize that person has a character, a default where they have to find something wrong in everything, and they create divisions. They start talking about other people behind their backs and causing all kinds of weird shit. I can't have that shit. I can't have that in my circle.
In Mexican culture, we call them a chismoso.
A chismoso.
Dude, I'll tell you what's interesting is my girl's grandma staying with us. She speaks zero English. Zero. Absolutely. She doesn't understand it. Nothing. So my girl was a translator, and we're put the baby to bed, and we're all sitting down. I make tea every night. I drink fucking tea every night. And I asked her if she wanted tea. And I'm like, hey, ask your grandma if she wants tea. And she goes like this. I'm like, well, it's tea. I didn't ask you if you want fucking
Coke.
Fucking poison. Jesus Christ. And so I'm like, what's her deal with tea? Well, she
bad association.
Well, yeah.
Oh, boy.
She grew up in Mexico. Dirt poor. They would go around, and they didn't have any money, and they'd sleep in basically a one-bedroom cot thing. And there's 6 kids, and they'd sleep in there, and they couldn't afford flavored drinks or anything. So her mom, they'd gather around, they'd make a fire in this little cot, and she would have her steal leaves or orange peels out of the trash. God. And then they would make tea out of the used orange peels. So it'd be like orange tea at night.
For vitamin C.
Well, no, just for flavor. They don't give a... Excuse me.
Sorry.
Vitamin C. See, that's that rich white boy shit.
Yeah.
You think the poor Mexican family gives a fuck about vitamin C?
They just want some flavor.
Yeah. No, they're just
How about that poverty? How about that? How about what that does to you?
When she was staying, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Now think about that.
Now that makes sense why you don't want tea.
Well, there's that poverty where, like in Afghanistan, this Russian guy I was talking about in 1979, he would go into a hut, and they had a Quran in the corner and nothing else. Nothing else. And he was like, where are you sleeping? How are you living? And because of the war and because just dire poverty, that's how a lot of people live. Crazy.
Yeah, don't one up my story with
no, it's the same idea
Quran
though.
guys,
it's the same idea. You human beings will
this
find
is real.
They'll find solace in just some orange peels. Fuck.
Yeah, and they're such a tight knit family. It's because when you think about it, it's all they had was family. They have no money. There's no material thing. So family. That's why they stick so close together.
Billie Holiday, the great blues singer.
Yeah,
she grew up in Harlem, and she used to clean houses. And she was cleaning houses at 13 years old. I mean, really cleaning everything, right? Yep. And so she was this black girl cleaning a lot of the wealthier white houses, but her mother in Harlem they were going to get evicted for real. And she was 13. They were going to get evicted. And it was the middle of the winter. And her mother was older and they had no options. There wasn't a shelter to go to. Yeah. They were going to be on the street. And Billie Holiday, because she used to sing a lot of songs when she would clean, she went from bar to bar that night in the bitter cold
at 13?
In Harlem at 13 and sang. And she realized then, first of all, she realized that she had to make the money for rent. And she saw that she was singing and certain guys were crying into their beers. And it was the first time she realized that she had something very special, obviously.
Yeah, for sure exaggerating about grown men crying into their beer. Well, but no, she made a lot of money.
Well, if you ever listen to her sing, boy.
For sure, but a loud bar? What guy's like...
Well, no, these are these are speakeasies in Harlem, right? So they're not like, whoa, it's like, you go to a bar where you're drinking and stuff like that. People are poor and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's singing blues. The point is she picked up, I think, $13 that night, which back then...
Ballin'.
You're balling back then, right? In the 30s
They're moving
or 40s.
Uptown.
Woo! And they said to her, what was the main factor in you being such a giant in music? And she goes,
excuse me?
Hunger.
Yeah.
And they said, oh yeah, hungry. And now my response would be, yes, you got to be hungry as an artist.
No.
She said, no, excuse me.
Legit
I'm talking
food.
about ribs on your body.
Yeah.
Like you're hungry for food.
Yeah.
Real hunger.
Yeah.
Bob Marley, they saw a documentary on him, and his best friend said, we went to bed hungry a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was white. He was half white, Bob Marley. And so he was, first of all, an outcast.
Bob Marley was half white?
Yes, he was.
God, you better be right.
His dad was white.
Hey, look that up, Jay.
Oh, yeah. His father was white. A lot of people don't realize that. And so as a result, he was called like Red Man. He was in Jamaica, and he lived in the cockpit. He lived up in the hills where it was very, very poor. Mm-hmm. And being that he was white, half white, it was very, very, it was very, there it is.
White father.
Yeah. It was very, very, his father was a
straight white?
Englishman. Yep.
Go that Wikipedia, though.
Yeah. No, he's white. I promise. I saw the whole documentary on him. And he was discriminated against. He was always an outcast. On top of the fact he was hungry. He didn't have money. And didn't have a dad.
White Jamaican. Yeah. Originally from Sussex, England. Sussex is right by where
Look at this.
My
His family
from.
claims Syrian Jewish origins. How about that? Bob Marley, half Jewish.
Wow.
Fucking half Jewish.
Don't fuck
white.
with the Jews. The Jews have got some badass all-stars in there.
Don't fuck with the whites, apparently, either.
No, don't fuck with anybody. I like the mix. I like the Jew, the white, and the black. When you get Jew, white, and black in there, you get Bob Marley.
What did he die from?
He died of cancer. He had a brain tumor, I believe.
Fuck, he died young, too.
Yes, I think it was 27, wasn't it? Or 33?
You're right, skin cancer.
Skin cancer?
Melanoma. Yeah, which went into his brain.
In Miami.
He was 36. 36.
Jeez.
Fuck, skin cancer at that young age?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yep.
I bet now, it's crazy if he was born these days. Like if he was 36 in 2017, they could cure it.
Melanoma, though, is really hard because it goes in the body. It's inside
Depends
the body.
Depends what stage.
Right? Yeah.
But I'm saying now they would have caught it earlier. Because usually cancer, right? And I'm sure there's people way more knowledgeable on this. Cancer, if you can catch it early enough, and that's why cancer, with those statistics we looked up the other day, one of the reasons why it's going down 25% is because we're catching it, we're spotting it early.
Do you know what's
When's the last time
down?
you did like a full checkup?
I need one, Bob. Oh,
I need one too. I told you last time I went to the doctor, I mean, he went 3 fingers knuckle deep in my asshole.
That's right. That's right, he did.
Thick old fingers, like 3 bratwursts in my asshole.
Now, hold on.
And he went, "You're good."
You know what he's checking, right? Do you know what he's checking?
That prostate.
Yep.
He's trying to see if it feels like a old vintage apricot.
He wants it to be flat as a pancake. That's what he wants.
No, he wants it to be hard, I thought.
Nope. He wants your prostate to be flat as a pancake.
Really? I thought you want it.
I don't know. If it feels like it's swollen, it's going to be a problem.
It feels like it's swollen, then something's going on. Or it feels like it's rotting, right? If it feels like
I don't know how you feel
prune?
if something's rotting. I've never been in the ass, but I'll tell you this. Guess what old Bryan has to do at 50?
You got to tuck them balls up.
Got to get... No, man, but I'm glad that you.
Well, your balls
that.
hang. Like, let's be honest. You have to. I wish I could have posted this picture to social media. Last time we haven't been on the road in forever. We're just talking about
it's
that.
Horrifying.
Hashtag we'll be in Vancouver Wednesday night, Thursday night, Seattle Friday, Portland Sunday. Get your tickets.
Excited.
I can't wait.
Can I just say that
last time we were on the road,
excited.
Bryan was bent over, getting ready to go in the shower. I swear to God, if you guys are watching
you took
this
a
on
picture
video,
of it.
I took a picture of it. This is his ball sack. It was hanging between his legs like this.
Think of a brown loafer.
They look nice.
Think of a brown loafer hanging from my...
Think about if you took...
a size 12 loafer.
Yeah, no, it would be nice. Think about if you took... You know that talking clock in Beauty and the Beast? And it's all brown? Hang that between your legs. I swear I was like, well, it looks like a miniature grandfather clock is hanging from the mid... And then your dick went down, and your balls are long in your dick. So, and then it's almost like your dick's just like underneath them. Well, like, what's going on back there?
It depends. Sometimes my dick hangs lower than my balls. Other times,
very rare though, sir.
It just depends.
Because you got, and you should be proud of him. You got a sack.
I got a sack on me.
You're sacked up.
Guess who else has got a sack and who's got some hangy balls at 5 years old? My son.
Your son has the same,
son.
You're talking about that Callan sack.
Fucking kid is mooning me, and I go, "Those are some draggy balls you got, boy."
Yeah, now. Have you seen your papa's balls?
No.
Does Papa Callan have them big old grizzly bear balls like you?
Yeah, he's got grizzly bear balls, but that guy's as hairy.
I'm telling you,
as
I've never seen balls like you, sir.
No.
I've been in a lot of locker
Maybe
rooms.
that's why my testosterone's so high.
Dude, they're fucking big old.
Yeah.
Like, if I wanted to, I could take them. You know those Chinese balls that people play with? Mm-hmm. I could do that with your balls.
But don't do that to my balls.
Ooh, that would hurt.
No, I know.
That makes you feel sick.
Oh. Yeah.
Being on the road. I'm excited for this.
I'm fucking pumped.
Vancouver. First time we've ever been to Canada. The bitch is sold out.
You're going to love Vancouver.
I've been to Vancouver.
I love performing there.
Can you name the last time?
You've not performed there, though.
I have.
Ooh.
Can you name the last time I was in Vancouver?
I can indeed, and I'll tell you exactly when it was. I can tell you exactly when it was. It was when you fought Andre Arlovski.
Correct, sir.
I remember that. God damn it.
Those fucking judges.
And you beat him.
Those judges really screwed us over. And now I'm back, Vancouver. Hopefully this time's a little more friendly.
Well,
for sure got to throw them in the open and act.
And I remember it was the first time people were calling you Big Brown. And it was the first time we realized that this podcast was something.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like forever ago?
Yeah, it does.
That seems forever ago.
That's what time is.
I'm going to post a picture like I'm going to post a throwback when we get done with this. Throwback. See you soon, Vancouver. This was the last time I was there because remember my cheek was out to here like a bowling ball?
Yep.
Motherfucker.
That was crazy, man.
Fucking Vancouver. And I was fine. I went without a broken jaw. Nothing.
How much of your day do you spend thinking about your past?
I'd say zero.
Versus your future.
I have so much going on. Zero.
I know.
Because now I'm more terrified with the future. Like, man. I mean, we can get into it. Like, my first live show, solo. Like, people got to realize, like, everything I have going on, I'm not. Most of it's all because of Bryan Callan. So, like, the stand up, all that was all your idea. So, whenever we do these live theaters and stuff like that, remember, like, I had these training wheels on forever, man. Like, no matter what, let's say, and I always would, and it was Brian's idea, I'd always open up 8 minutes of stand up, 10 minutes stand up, then it turns into 15, turns into 18. And then, but worst case scenario, Brian's right behind the curtain. I can always go, I forgot, and you jump out and we do a bit and we'd fucking make it up. So I always have that. Yeah. I always have that release. I always have that parachute on the live shows. Well, and then I started doing my own stand-up. That's scary. And then I was like, man, I'm going to do this Big Brown Breakdown live at the Pasadena Ice House. And, I was talking with our manager, and he goes, I think it'd be great, man, and let's see who would want it. And the reason I went to the Ice House, because they were like, we want Shab here. Mm-hmm. We want him to do it here. Yeah, so I was like, man, because
you got to draw.
Because they did it, like, they asked, how it goes. They asked, I don't know how it goes. I guess they asked certain place you want, and Ice House checked twice, like, we want Shab to do it here.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, well, that's where I want to do it.
Because you can fill that place.
Well, maybe. So I was like, well, that's where I want to do it. And then I get done with it. Oh, fuck, I got to do it now.
Yeah.
There's no Bryan Callan. There's none of that. So when you talk about thinking about my past, this was the whole point to it. It's not to talk about that. The whole point to it was the future is so scary. I couldn't tell you the last time I thought about it. I couldn't tell you the last time I thought about fighting. Yeah, I have no animosity towards it. If you could bring up my losses, it doesn't bother me anymore.
I know. When people you have so much to do ahead of you.
People used to, I mean, when someone, like, people attack me if, for whatever reason, if someone posts, like, let's say Ben Rothwell is fighting, and they might bring up a highlight of him knocking me out in the tag minute. I'm like, damn, that Ben Rothwell's tough as fuck. I don't even view it the same anymore.
Of course,
I don't even look at it like it's me. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I fucking did that. Oh, who is that?
Do you know how I know I don't think about my past much? Is I'll run into people I'm supposed to know, and I've known back in the day, and not well, but well enough to remember them. They remember me. I just don't remember them.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're so. I think I'm like, am I senile? Well, I'm so wrapped up in what I have to do, what the work at hand, that I don't have time to think as much. But to dilate on something about accomplishment, and you just reminded me where you give me credit about stand up and stuff. The thing about
I'm your number one protege. Let's be real.
You are, but you have to remember something else.
I was trying to be
the
funny
way
there.
you accomplish something is you put yourself.
Super cocky.
I'm your number one.
I'm just kidding. I thought you were gonna go with that.
No, you are my number one.
I mean, you don't have like school,
but meaning that's
like if your professor acts, I'm like Wolverine to you.
Yes, I teach you, but. I think that it's very easy to give me credit, but also remember that what you did, in my opinion, and I think this is how people accomplish things, in your mind for the longest time, way before you met me, your secret fantasy was to be a performer. Mm-hmm. In your mind, secretly, you wouldn't even dare admit it to yourself, but you probably wanted to be a comedian, or at least be part of that, be a part of creating that phenomenon in other people's brains and minds and experience. And so you meet me, and all of a sudden you see an opening and you fucking take it. And then
not really, because when did we see an opening? Because there's no opening. It was more like I came here. I honestly thought I was going to be heavyweight champ of the world. I swear to you, I would have stopped fighting. I thought I was going to be heavyweight champ of the world. I meet you. I didn't even know what a podcast was. You want to start doing podcasts? We start doing, I don't even think, I'm like, I like talking, me and you hit it off. Mm-hmm. I like meeting with him. He's a smart dude. He's funny as fuck. Didn't even think about it. It didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it was possible.
You were so focused on fighting and being world champion, right?
Yep.
But then once you got a taste, and once you saw that we were hitting, and once you saw that you could actually do it, it's funny how there's a revelation in life. Sometimes you start to realize, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Like, I'm able to do this. Like, I started this 2 years ago, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, my head's above water and I'm actually swimming here. This is something I never even thought I could do. But it was a process. It was a step-by-step process. Like, would you say,
but
after
it's like
all this
walking
time,
in the dark without a light, because there's no, like, I remember there's certain times light bulbs go off in your head, and I remember I just got here. I just for reals moved here. I was coming back and forth, and James Coe, who hosted he was called Cage Talk on Channel 7 late night. It was on after the fucking weather at like 10:30 at night, 11. I'd go on at 11. Brandon Vera used to be his co-host. And I went to this Mike Tyson live show. This is 5-6 years ago. I went to this Mike Tyson live show, and he was there, and I was walking the red carpet. The UFC sent me there. And I was getting ready to fight LeVar Johnson. He's interviewing me, and we get done. He goes, "Man, that was a fun interview. I'd love, I do a show called Cage Talk. There's like 7 people who watch it. It's my own little thing. I love MMA. Would love to have you on." I'm like, "Yeah, here's my number." Months go by, and he goes, "Hey, tonight I'm shooting Cage Talk. Brandon Vera usually fills in. He can't make it. He's stuck in San Diego traffic. Can you come in?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah." He goes, "Bring a suit." So I get my suit together, and I go down there, and we're going through it. And, it's just balls deep in MMA for like 22 minutes, the show, 30-minute show. And he's organizing. He's just he's the sports guy on the newscast. And I go in there, and it's just dark. Everyone hated their job. The production, there's like 3 people there, security. No one's really nice to me. James was always great. And me and him just sat down. We went over a few things. And he, barely just would talk this fight. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." And then we're just gonna go on. And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "And we're live, so don't cuss." I'm like, "Fuck, man." I'm like, they put makeup, put my suit on. I look like fucking Ron Burgundy. And then they're like, "In 3, 2, 1." And then as soon as like, poof, you're live, I did it, and it went great. Me and I have this banter back and forth. I got in my car, and I was off of Santa Monica Boulevard. I got in my car. At the time, I had a used BMW M6, the Batmobile. I got in, and it was like a light went, doo.
Yeah.
It went, boom.
I can do this.
And I went, "Oh, I'm supposed to do that." This is what I went, "Oh fuck, that's what I'm supposed to be doing." Not late night fucking news, but I was just like some form of entertainment, being in front of camera. It was so weird, man. I don't know what you call it. It was literally
it's called intuition.
It was literally like a thing, the cartoon light bulb. It literally went doof. I went, oh, I'm be doing that.
And once the mystery of it breaks down,
and here's your next fight.
Yeah, and here's next.
Oh yeah, I'll do. You're right. I'll do that.
Here you go, fight.
Yeah, dude.
But you make a good point, because once you, like, for example, stand-up was a mystery to you for a long time, right? It belonged to other people. Belonged to other people.
Yeah.
But and of course you know how much work it is. But true or false? Would you say, now that you've been doing it for a while, would you say that at least now you understand how to get better at it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now
there's only one way.
There's only one way.
You have to do it.
Right. And would you say that you and I then, even though I've been doing it a long time, are going through the same process to get there?
Yes.
Exactly.
For sure.
Okay. So now,
different, our brains
now
think
let's
different.
extrapolate that, because now, when we talk about work ethic, it's hard to instill work ethic in somebody who doesn't understand and hasn't experienced the fruits of their work, meaning the fruits, for example, of showing up every day and doing something.
See, I think it starts when I don't mean to sidetrack. I think it starts when you're a kid, though.
Because why? Because let me give you an example.
Because at 40,
you probably found you were running.
At 40, if you don't have a work ethic, I mean, there's no book you can read. There's nothing that's really going to instill that in you.
Well, because what happened with you probably as a kid and happened to me was I noticed, for example, in wrestling, to use a sports analogy, I noticed that what I would do, and I got this from Dan Gable's intensive wrestling camp, I noticed that I would run 2-3 miles before practice. And what that was doing, and then I would run stairs. And nobody else was doing it. But what I noticed that when I did that in matches, I didn't get tired.
Yep.
And the other guy got tired. So I went, holy shit, that's a really good advantage in wrestling, because I don't get tired in the third period, and this guy's getting tired, and I was winning. That was one way I was winning, right? So once you start to see that result, you go, if I run just a little bit more and get a little here a little earlier, now that would be considered work ethic. But for me, what it was I was just like, oh, I just have to do this extra thing so I can get that other thing which I really want. And those are the things you learn. So then I go, well, stand up. If I just sit down and spend like an hour more a day than the average guy, I'm going to be better, and I want to be better. So that bears fruit, and you have to know that, and you have to feel that, and you have to have had that experience, so that then it makes sense to sit and not do anything. But I love that the process of learning like that. And so I told you before, I was very encouraged by your future in stand-up, because I have seen now that you understand what it takes. You understand the methodology, you understand the steps, you understand the mindset it requires to get better at something, which really, you have a good sense of humor, but what is it about? A lot of people do. It's about carving that sense of humor. It's about focusing it. It's about getting that bit just right.
Masses too.
Yeah, man. Getting the rhythm and the tempo of that bit. You have bits now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's weird is you want something that's not motivating, seen a bad comic who's been doing it for a long time. That'll fuck your world up.
I've been dealing
Remember
with
that one time you showed me that video?
Oh, yeah.
We were in...
I fucked you up.
You fucked me
We had
up.
to go perform, too.
Oh, we were in Atlanta.
We had to go do a live
Atlanta
show.
Theater. Bryan goes, I just want you to look at this. Look at this guy. And I'm not going to say his name. And he goes, just watch this stand up. Just tell me what you think of it. And I was like, I watched it for, I don't know, a minute. I'm like, get this. I was literally about to, I go, get this the fuck out of my face.
Yeah.
It's like watching Faces of Death or something. I can never erase it from my memory. I felt sick. I can't believe you went up there with that.
I had a little talk with a veteran comic who's
Really?
a little frustrated with where they are right now.
With
And
life?
I watched their set, and I said, you're just not doing what you're capable of.
How old is he?
What the fuck is going on? Old
Old
enough
enough
to know better.
He's been doing it for how long?
About 20 years.
It's too late.
It's just a problem.
But also, it might not be for you.
Or that's one thing. Or maybe the other thing is there a way to confront what you're doing? Like, people just don't confront
But has he ever been
bullshit.
funny? Has he ever been like killing it?
He has the
That means no.
ability.
Hey,
He has the
hey.
ability. Yeah.
That means no.
Yeah.
You stuttered and took way too long.
Yeah.
Like, has he ever crushed a room?
I don't know. Yes, he has. Yes, he's crushed a room.
Well, then the potential's there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying 20 years if you never crushed a room. That's
that's different. That's
like,
the guy I
That's
showed
like
you.
going 0 for 20 in fights.
Well, the guy I showed
for
you
10
doing
years
it,
and being
yeah.
like, I'm sticking with it, man.
No, look. It'd be like me trying out, like really, really doing football drills all the time, lifting weights and taking steroids and trying out for the NFL every single year.
I would pay good money to see
and
that.
I'd be like, I'm going to get it this year. I just can't. My 40's still at 4.9. And you're like, well, Bryan, and I'd be roided to the gills. I'd be fucking purple.
So
my blood pressure through the roof, sweating all the time. This is the year, guys. This is the year.
Yeah, I don't miss that. A lot of that stuff. I miss certain things. When Chael was on the Big Brown Breakdown, I was talking to him about it, and he was saying this is the toughest training camp he's ever had because, like, his body just doesn't respond anymore like it used to. Tim Kennedy retired. I don't know if that's in your current events for Bryan, but Tim Kennedy retired, and he just goes, man, my body just doesn't respond anymore. You get to a certain age where it doesn't, and I think this is a super windy and crazy road to go down, but that's where, like, if you want those guys to perform at elite level, you can see why there'd be TRT exemptions.
Of course.
Because a guy like Tim Kennedy, a guy like Chael, let's say you can get another 6 years out of them if you give them a TRT exemption, but they're not taking steroids.
Right.
So
they're keeping their hormones where they were when they were 25, for example. Well, yeah, I looked at BJ
and then they
Penn's
can train
body.
more. They can do a lot more stuff.
Yeah. Well, when we were doing the Fight Companion, I saw BJ Penn's body at 38, one of the greats, a legend. But I looked at his body, and I know how strict the USADA testing is. And I went, I don't think he was ever doing anything. But you look at his body at the years of wear and tear.
I think it's just 38-year-old.
It's 38.
But BJ's never been like ripped ever.
No.
And remember, this is him at 145.
Correct.
Like he's always been like that soft Buddha kind of genius.
Yes. But I was just like, it's time to stop now. You're 38, and without TRT, you're just not going to compete with the Yair Rodriguez.
Do you have a problem with people saying he should retire?
I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that it's abundantly clear that as great as he was, he is in a different sport now. And I don't care what anybody says.
Like the game's just passing
You're
by.
in a different sport. You're primarily a boxer and you're great at jiu-jitsu. Correct. It ain't going to get the job done in a sport where everybody is becoming a master at using their feet, their elbows, their hands, submission, takedowns. It, like you said, nowadays, if you want to compete in the top 10, you better be a black belt at everything. And on top of the fact that you're dealing with guys like Yair Rodriguez, you're dealing with guys like, what's his name, Wonder Boy, who are fighting at a different distance. It's hard to get sparring partners. Your whole career has been about guys who are fighting at a Muay Thai or boxing distance. The whole thing is
it's almost a different, like it's a different sport.
You're in a different sport.
It's almost like fucking Elvis came back now and he's playing the same tunes.
Yeah.
Like imagine if Johnny Cash tried playing the same tunes. The fuck?
That's right.
Everyone like, what the fuck was that?
Yes.
Why is that on the radio?
Yes.
Like that's how fast the game's evolved.
And
he's Johnny Cash.
The hardest thing for a guy like BJ Penn, and I've talked to other fighters who are now retired about this recently, that if you really get down to it, and I have with a couple of them, they still in their mind, even though they know it's over, they think
they can be champ.
They're just like, in my mind, I want to be a world champ still. And that's what drove them. It's very hard to let that go because it's such an identity.
You have to put
part of your identity.
Well, you have to put your energy in something. Or you have to find something that's going to fill that void. Like I think, don't get me wrong, I think CT is very real. I think all that brain trauma with football and fighters and boxers are very real. But I think you also got to take into account just straight up depression from not being the man anymore.
Of course.
From not chasing something.
The crowd
for not having
screaming your name.
passion. Yeah. If you don't have that, I think you really need to focus on that, what that does to your mentality, the makeup of your body, the chemistry. When you don't have that passion, where it's no different when these 70-year-olds, 75-year-olds retire, then they die like 2 years later. Mm-hmm. Then you got this 85-year-old he's like, I'm not retired, man. Mm-hmm. I know if I retire, I die, and they just keep on keeping on.
Right.
Because once that passion's gone, you get depression, testosterone drops. I think there's some correlation there.
I think I couldn't agree with you more. I was thinking about that because I went to a Picasso exhibit and he had painted all the paintings when he was 90. And I am not kidding. His painting at 90, and I walked through with the art expert explaining what he was doing.
That'd be cool.
It was so illuminating. But at 90 years old, the guy was painting as well as he was at 40. And when I think about sports and geniuses at sport and the experience they have and the creative energy that they put into being such good fighters, for example, like BJ Penn, it's got to be a form of a crisis when you actually realize that you have to stop. And because you've given your fighting everything, you must feel like you're in the middle of a desert and you don't have anywhere to place your energy.
And it's easy to say, make sure you have something else to do when you're done fighting. It's like,
how?
Well, if I do that, then I'll never be as good as I'm supposed to be in this arena.
Correct. Football players go through this all
Follow
the time.
me on this. I'd love to, this is my experience. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to be controversial here. But I was thinking about all the boxers I've ever met, all the boxers I know, the ones now, the ones who have passed. And I would say, as a whole, they're the most uneducated and the most simple-minded I know. I've never, this is fucked up, and people, Floyd Mayweather's a billionaire. I get that. He can't read. So
yeah,
he can't read. So that kind of ends that. So for whatever, boxing is a poor man's sport. So not a lot of them have education. There's not a big collegiate program in boxing that, goes to the Olympics and they go on and do things. They start from a kid. They usually don't go to school and then they become professional. But when you see boxers, you talk to boxers, just on a IQ level as far as just life, at cerebral level, they're usually the dumbest athlete I know.
Well,
is that fair to say, or is that fucked up? Well, Chin's making a bad face.
No, I think what you're doing is saying.
I'm not including MMA fighter. MMA is different.
Yeah,
MMA is different. But in boxing, it's such an old sport, and it's a poor man's sport.
It's a very specific sport, and also I don't think education plays much of a role.
There's not. They're playing a different tune. Like that's all they're focused on. Like they're not focused on getting a degree or doing that. They're focused on getting to the Olympics. You don't have to have a college degree to get to the Olympics. They're focused on making money, turning pro. So all their attention on that. So all this other knowledge, books, all by the wayside. Now you go to other sports. You look at football. Well, you want to be an NFL, you have to go to college.
Right.
You have to get good grades in high school in order to get a scholarship to play college ball, and you have to play, I think, 2 or 3 years in college, and then you go to the NFL.
You're also exposed to other points of view because you're in a locker room. And so you're going to learn from other people who have different perspectives. Boxing is so solitary, and a lot of times if you see
I know I'm going to take some heat for this, but I would love to see the stats.
I think what you're saying is that it doesn't mean that boxers are dumb. What it means is that boxers tend to, because of the nature of the sport, they have to be very myopic. They spend a lot of time with a small team of people. They have to be very specific. It requires almost everything, running and the training and everything else. So it doesn't leave a lot of energy to expose themselves to other things.
And here's to your point. Let's say Floyd Mayweather 5 years ago goes into the training camp. Is Floyd, from the fight that he fought in April in December, what's he working on? How's he any different? What new paths is he creating, neurological paths is he creating? Or is he just getting in shape because he's been doing it since he was 7? There's really nothing. He's mastered boxing. There's really nothing else to learn. Now you go over to MMA, look at Yair Rodriguez from his Bruce Leroy fight till now. What has that kid learned? A shitload, a ton. Because you got to worry about kickboxing, jiu-jitsu,
not enough time in the day.
Distant.
Not enough time in the day.
You can get better in so many ways. Yeah. You develop new paths in your brain.
New neural pathways.
Yes, that you're creating different motor memory. There's all this stuff that you have to memorize. You're never going to master it. John Jones hasn't mastered all of it.
Right.
Ronda Rousey did not master it.
Right.
They constantly have to work on this stuff.
Yeah.
Boxing, Triple G, what's he have? 400 fights? What do you teach him? You can teach him how. What are you going to teach him?
I wonder.
He's going to go into camp.
Yeah.
He gets in shape. He's going to be doing exactly what he's been doing since he was 12 years old.
The repetition, the constant.
They really never grow. Repetition. They get experience where they learn, like, all right, I got knocked down. I know I can get punched and get back up. I got this fighter's heart. They get experience. They learn from the experience in that arena on the night of the fight. But as far as, is Canelo gonna be a counter fighter now? No, that's not. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or is this some bullshit?
It just sounded.
I guess I don't know the answer.
What you're talking about.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know the answer to. I've not done the comparison, and I don't have a lot of experience.
I mean, do I sound like fucking a KKK member right now?
It just sounded bad, but I mean, obviously, there's smart boxers, of course. Like
Name one.
Klitschko, he's like,
that's
super
a great
genius,
point,
right?
Klitschko, he has he's a doctorate.
Yeah, so there's like, but from a macro.
George Foreman, I would imagine, who got really successful.
Nope, Foreman grill. Someone brought it to him, and the only reason he got the Foreman grill is because Hulk Hogan turned it down and went for energy drinks because his wife told him to take the energy drinks over the Foreman grill. It was going to be the Hogan grill.
Ooh.
So he just marketed it.
Right. I think that what you're saying is that the sport of boxing, to be really good, you can get yourself so myopic, you can get so focused on that one sport, and sometimes maybe that's what it requires.
That's what it requires.
That you're not exposing yourself to the things that other athletes have to expose themselves to. A team, different points of view, a playbook, things like that maybe.
You could say in entertainment too, like
yeah.
Although you're exposed to a lot of different personalities you're reading.
Yeah, because you're reading scripts and stories.
It is different.
Yeah.
Unless you're in music.
Different.
What if you're a hip-hop artist?
That might be different. It depends on what you mean by education too. Like a lot of I have very deep conversations with Wayne McCulloch, right? Who was a world champion. But Wayne's 45. Wayne's been around a lot. Wayne comes from Ireland. Wayne came from a war-torn part of Ireland where he had to contend with Protestant Catholic, with the history of Ireland, with the history of England. And there's no way you couldn't know about that because your friends were being killed over it. So you had to be philosophically, politically, and even religiously committed.
Sure.
So it depends on who you're talking about. So for me and someone like Wayne, I was thinking about that as you were talking about. I've had such deep, long conversations with him on real levels. But then again, that might be an exception. Whereas I think, like you said, if you're talking to the average boxer who's been throwing that right hand and has to be whose whole day is training, and I do know other people who are like that, you're going to get somebody who's very, very. I don't want to use the word simple either, but you're going to get somebody who's very specific in their knowledge.
Correct.
Specific in their knowledge. That's a better way to put it.
They have their doctorate in boxing, but as far as a whole, the ones that I have met in my experience through all the years of boxing with these guys, out of all the athletes I know,
that's fair. You're just being honest. I don't think you're being insulting.
I don't think it's mean, and I could be totally off. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the boxers. I love watching boxing. I love that. I'm just saying in general, with my interaction with them, if you're talking boxing, fucking all day. Anything else, it's tough.
But then again, the question would be, I would beg the question with this, Angelo Dundee or a trainer like that, or Eddie Futch, who people have written numerous books about, the people that have mastered the art of boxing in terms of how to teach it. So
Freddie Roach.
Those guys are probably guys that have a deep concept and understanding of life because they've mastered one aspect of life, and through that they can extrapolate how other things happen, right? And remember that if you're Eddie Futch or you're Angelo Dundee, you're also dealing with personalities, and you got to be very creative with certain prickly personalities, how to get to them, how to motivate them.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there's some smart guys in boxing.
They may have a lot of human intelligence.
There's a lot of smart coaches. I'm not. Yeah. I'm saying in general, that's a coach. As athletes go across the board.
Mm-hmm. You know what my experience is? The athletes that are, from my experience, the smartest are football players. Believe it or not. And I certainly the most social, certainly the ones that I've had that have a sense of humor and that are very social. And maybe it's the team thing.
Yeah.
But more so than baseball players, more so certainly than tennis players. Tennis is another sport where if you ever look at my God, well, you're playing from the age of 6. And if you haven't started playing by the age of 9, you can forget it. That's how crazy it is. And you travel and you play. And a lot of times, if you look at the European circuit, I'm not exaggerating. These kids are in a van with their parents, with one of their parents, and they are driving from tournament to tournament. And they play all day, and they drive, and they play, and they drive, and they drill, and they play, and they drill, and they play. And you may make it. That's why, like the guys I know who are professional, like Michael Costa, who was number 89 in the world, or maybe 189 in the world, which is a high ranking in tennis.
For sure, all the tennis players.
I said, what about getting to the top, 100, top 50, and he said, dude, you're playing against Czech and Russian players that have been doing that since they were 6 years old, and that's all they have ever done, including nowadays, if you want to be a great tennis player, you're going to be homeschooled. You will be homeschooled, sir. You will not have a high school experience.
God, I don't want that.
You will be homeschooled. And excuse me, you can be homeschooled. You can be homeschooled, and tennis is going to be your life, where you play probably 6 to 8 hours a day.
No friends.
You're not going to have. Well, you're going to have friends that are in tennis.
Your friend, your racket.
And your coach. And your coach.
You know what you get him for Christmas?
Yeah,
racket.
And your coach.
Tennis balls.
Yeah. And so that's a very real thing. You see that. Now what happens when you don't make it? What happens when you implode? What happens when you burn out? What happens when
it doesn't
17,
work out?
18 you just realize you're not going to be tall enough or fast enough to play.
You're talking about the movie Balls of Fury now.
Yeah.
It doesn't turn out well.
It doesn't turn out well.
Let's go on some current events. We got a plane to catch.
We got a plane to catch, buddy. And I got to tell you, once again, I'm excited. I really enjoy, especially the
I haven't seen my brother in a while.
Tour.
He's our tour manager.
My favorite.
I haven't seen him in a while.
My favorite.
Better have a fucking smile on his face.
We were talking about your brother and how smart he is and how he's always right.
Very argumentative.
Oh, I like it. Thank you for pardoning this fucking guy. Seriously.
Wait,
Chelsea
what
Manning,
happened?
and I'm a patriot.
Wait, what happened?
I think Bryan would probably be best at talking about this
Chelsea
story.
Manning, who was, he was a man, and he was the one who exposed some state secrets, WikiLeaks. So President Obama just and he went into transgender. He tried to commit suicide a couple of times because the army wouldn't give him the drugs to keep him feeling and looking like a woman. This was a young man who compromised some U.S. some secret information to WikiLeaks, but he was obviously not stable.
Let me ask you this: so when did she? Because I'm sure she went Chelsea Manning. So did she go to a male or female prison? Did she make the change in prison?
So I believe, from what I have read, that Chelsea Manning has been in solitary confinement.
In a male or
in a male prison?
In a male prison in solitary confinement.
And they wouldn't, because they won't recognize her, even though she's. I don't know how to say it.
This is a tricky
She'll be freed
situation.
in May. Chelsea Manning, a former Army intelligence officer who leaked classified information to WikiLeaks, because as far as he was concerned at the time, there was information. It was kind of like a Snowden thing where there was the NSA and stuff was spying.
Is Snowden going to get pardons too?
Well, that's a very... I'm very curious, because Obama's been very stingy with his pardon pen.
Hollywood made a movie of him.
Let everybody out. Everybody who's been convicted on marijuana charges and who's a non-violent drug dealer, let him the fuck out.
Free Snowden.
Let them all out.
Snowden's a big MMA fan.
He convicted back in 2013.
Huge MMA fan.
35 years in prison. Obama's commutation means she'll be out in May 17th after just 7 years served. Wait for the movie. Manning, a transgender woman, attempted suicide twice while in prison, which tells you that this is really somebody who's very fragile emotionally. Amazing.
Damn. What else you got, Chin?
Founder Julian Assange said last week he would agree to extradition to the U.S. if Obama released Manning from prison. Damn. Yeah, Assange is still in Ecuador, in an Ecuadorian embassy in London.
And I think Snowden's in Russia?
Yeah, I think he's
Sweden, maybe?
Asylum in Russia?
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Did you read, were you the one who told me about the Iraqi embassy in New York City? So the Iraqi embassy, when you're in an embassy in New York City, say it's the Iraqi embassy, that's Iraqi soil. And they were killing people. They were killing political, exiles and people, everything. Come have dinner with us. They'd invite you and your wife to have dinner. And of course it wasn't a dinner. They would kill you in a basement. They had a torture dungeon down there.
This is in New York City?
This is in New York City.
I didn't tell you this.
They would torture you and kill you.
This is super. I got
and put you in a
skeptical eyes.
fucking box. They put you in a coffin and ship you to Iraq. And nobody was checking that coffin because it was on Iraqi soil and it was Iraqi property.
They're killing
and it was
Americans?
sent right to Iraq. No, they were killing Iraqi exiles, or they were killing Iraqi, ex-citizens and stuff like that.
And they're like, hey, why don't you come over for dinner? And you go in and they...
We'd like to honor you for a dinner at our embassy. Saddam Hussein has invited you. He won't be there, but we'd like you to come. And then you'd get there, and his intelligence operatives would be there. And they'd be like, we got to kill you now. But first, we're going to torture the shit out of you to get some information.
Jesus
and you would
Christ.
die in that basement and be put in a
You and your
coffin.
wife.
or whoever.
God.
And they think I mean, it's horrible. Remember, Saddam Hussein killed whole families.
No, very evil.
Yeah, when I think it was Helmut Kohl or whoever the German chancellor was, when he wanted to know where the Iraqi ambassador to Germany was and his family, who he'd gotten to know over the years. Well, they said, well, no, he was shot and killed for treason. And Helmut Kohl, I think it was Helmut Kohl, was really taken aback and said, Jesus, that's terrible. Well, I'd like to see the family, and I'd like to give them my condolences. Well, the family was also executed. Yeah. Well, Saddam Hussein would kill your whole family. He was a sweetheart. Real nice guy.
Well, he passed away. What else you got, Chin?
I don't know if you guys heard of someone called the ice cream killer. Have you heard of this lady?
No.
So this lady is so dangerous.
She looks like a psycho.
And they called her the ice cream killer because she used the...
I know what you're going to say, Brennan. God
damn it. I was going to say she could lick my cone.
Because you saw her lips.
I was going to say she could lick my cone.
She looks crazy.
Immature. All right, keep going, Chin. Sorry.
No worries. So she killed her ex-boyfriend and her ex-husband because she couldn't get impregnated by them, and then chopped their bodies up with a chainsaw and then stored them inside of her ice cream parlor, wherever she was working. So that's why they call her the ice cream killer. And apparently she's so dangerous, they're going to put her in a men's prison.
Well, she's psychopath.
She's Hannibal Lecter.
She's sociopath. So they couldn't get her pregnant. Their sperm was no good. And instead of divorcing her, the Mexican-born Spanish national stored the body parts in ice cream tubs filled with concrete and disguised the smell with air fresheners. All right. Now she'll spend the rest of her life in all-male prison in Assen, Austria, because she shows an advanced reduction of the relevant... Okay. Well,
I tried to understand that. I could Google that.
She's one of 13 to be transferred, women to be transferred to the prison.
That's another thing, too. Yeah. So
she carried out the crimes because the men failed to get her pregnant. She crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But have you guys heard of her? Because I never heard of her until I saw this.
I've never heard of her.
Yeah.
No.
God, she looks fucking scary, though.
Yes.
Wow.
I know you guys are in a rush, so I'll just do this real quick. Did you remember that plane that disappeared, never turned up?
Yep. That was in Malaysia? The Malaysia?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've officially stopped looking.
Yeah, so it's pretty much done now. It's been 3 years.
And they finally stopped searching? God, if you're one of the families and...
It's so terrible.
But it's kind of like... It's not really a mystery, is it? They're probably at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
I was going to do a dropping knowledge, but I'm gonna piggyback on current events for my dropping knowledge, which is very quickly that did you see that abortions are down by some crazy amount? I think in 2000 they were at 1.6 million,
Jesus.
And in 2016 they dropped to 950,000.
Why?
And think about that giant drop. And they do not know why. There are a couple of sort of theories. One maybe is that people are more worried about dangerous STDs like penicillin-resistant gonorrhea, stuff like that. That's one idea. The other is the economy. Maybe the economy, when it took a turn for the worst, men's testosterone went down. They didn't fuck as much because they felt less adequate. But the other thing that we know is that sperm counts have been going down in men, especially in industrialized, but this was the United States. So in Europe and the United States, sperm count has been falling for the past 40 years.
Why?
They don't know, but they think maybe,
tubs.
Well, one idea might be, and look this up, one idea might be that plastics in our environment are sort of estrogen they produce estrogen in the body.
The plastics do?
Yeah, they are estrogen mimics for whatever. Why are sperm counts falling? Is it contraceptives and drinking water? Right. There's a lot of
I don't drink that LA water.
Is it chemicals or are human beings, because we have so many people, are human beings naturally checking their own biology? Is that what's happening? Are men just producing less sperm because there's less children needed? Who knows? Are men producing less sperm because there aren't so many existential threats?
I saw a commercial. God, I want to say it was for Cheerios. I don't know. But I swear to God, I saw a commercial and it showed a bunch of babies and kids having fun and parents playing with kids. And it was like, have more kids. They're fun.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Hey, here's another idea that we got to wrap this up, but part of the dropping knowledge is something else I had a thought about. When I was talking about healthcare on Rogan's podcast, it was very interesting because I got a lot of different emails on both sides of the equation. Some people saying, you're right. Other people saying, well, here's another thing to look at. And I had a thought about that. You know, when you talk about healthcare, if I bring up something on healthcare, if I bring up a socialized medicine, I could say something and I would get a bunch of opinions on one side and a bunch of opinions on the other.
Always.
And it dawned on me that is because if you are in the bottom 20%.
It's different point of views.
Exactly. If you're in the bottom 20%, you're going to want Obamacare because it really helps you out. And there are people that really need it. If you're me and you already have SAG insurance and have never had to worry, you're going to have a very different point of view on healthcare. I'm healthy. I have money.
I had a conversation with someone who benefits from Obamacare. She's like, what? It's the best fucking thing of all time.
Exactly.
Man. She has a baby and all stuff. She's like, oh my God, it's the best.
And then a lot of us just basically have a political point of view that was given to us, me included, where the idea that there's no competition or the idea that we're going to have socialized medicine. As soon as I hear socialized medicine, I got a whole bunch of emotional reactions that shut me right down.
That's how it goes with anything.
And you've got to just take stock in that. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. I can't believe you just held my hand. I appreciate that. You have a heavy hand. You have a big palm.
Dense.
You got small, shitty fingers.
You know what? You have smooth hands. I don't trust guys with smooth hands.
I don't have smooth hands, bro. Look at this.
Your hands are super smooth.
I've had people say that to me.
That's weird.
Dude, I work with my hands, bro.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Fun show, man. We got a plane to catch.
Let's go catch a plane, pal.
Go catch a plane to Vancouver.
Hey, you know what?
Hey, if we disappear, don't give up in 3 years. Do not give up in 3 years.
I thought about that.
You keep this fucking train going, man. Give us at least 4.
Don't give up. I thought about that. I was if I go down, you fucking find out where I went down.
4 years. And Chin, if it does go down, make up a crazy story of how me and Callan got attacked by great whites.
That's right.
And then I got to make CNN if we pass away.
We're all dying.
That's all I care about.
We're all going to die.
We are.
Will be fine.
It's super sad. Yeah. Hopefully we'll make it. As you guys listen to this, T-Fat-K is live. Vancouver 2 nights. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Seattle. See you soon, Seattle. Saturday night, we end this bitch in Portland.
Yep.
And then first week of February, San Francisco. We just announced we're putting an additional show. So we're in Portland on the 9th. And we're in San Francisco on the
9th and
February 9th. And 10th.
And
Bryan Callen, the first week is in Austin, Texas.
Capital City.
Boom, boom, boom.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come see me.
TFATK.com for anything Fire and the Kid related. We love you guys. Vancouver. See you soon. This is the Fire and Kid. We's out.